Hi, my name is Karen Leahy, and I'm the Digital Services Librarian at the South Kingston Public Library. This is Follow the Reader, a mini video series in which I interview a member of our community on books, reading, and the library. Today, I'm joined by Tim Gray of the World War II Foundation and Global Education Center. Hi, Tim. How are you today?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good.
Can you tell me a little bit about the World War II Foundation and Global Education Center?
Yeah, we started the foundation. We primarily focus on documentary films. So we did our first documentary film on World War II in 2006. And since then, we're up to our 32nd film, and they air on PBS stations all over the country and internationally, and in China and Australia and the UK and France and Italy. So they're all films that we shoot on location. So if we're doing a film on the Holocaust, we go back and film at Auschwitz. If we're doing a film on Guadalcanal in the Pacific, we go to that small island. We spend a lot of time traveling in Europe and the Pacific to shoot these documentaries, and they're all narrated by celebrities, everybody from Bill Belichick and Tom Brokaw, and even country singers like Darius Rucker and Luke Bryan. We just finished up a film with actress Jane Lynch. And so our primary focus has been the films, but we also wanted to start a museum in South Kingstown. And the World War II Museum that we started here is a combination of things I've collected over the years and that have been donated to our foundation. So recently it was given the label of the most comprehensive World War II collection in the country because we cover all aspects of the war. So it's been neat to have a lot of the school kids in our kind of our demographic, our middle school through, 70, 80, 90-year-olds. So it kind of runs the gamut, but it's a way to introduce people to that time period and how important that time period was, and how it still is so relevant today.
Great. Yes, and I was looking at our library catalog. We have quite a few of your documentaries here at the library too for people to check out.
Right.
So let's jump in. What are you reading right now?
Oh boy, I'm always reading a book about World War II, and it usually pertains to a film we're working on at that time. So we just got back from filming in Italy, and we were doing two films there, one on Senator Bob Dole and his experience of being severely wounded in northern Italy, and also one on the Tuskegee Airmen, the African Americans who flew out of Ramatelli, Italy, and were such courageous pilots during that time of segregation in the United States, and they really wanted to fight for their country. So usually kind of reading books to prepare me for the next film that we're going to work on. So it's usually something about World War II.
Great. And do you have a favorite book you've read recently?
I have a pile by my bed, and it's a pile that's usually about 5 or 6 books deep. Yeah. So I just keep knocking them off. I mean, there are certain books that capture your attention over the years and everything like that. And it's hard to pick a favorite because they're all so different. Yeah. So anything about that focuses on the personal stories of the war. Avenue of Spies is a book by author Alex Kershaw that I just finished, which was about the French resistance during World War II, especially focused on Paris and that area, and just how brave they were. And we're going to be going to France next year to work on a French resistance film. So to me, Avenue of Spies was just one of those books where you read it and you just say how courageous these French and even sometimes Americans who were fighting in the shadows of Nazi-occupied Paris.
Yeah, that's great. And are you the type of person to use a real bookmark? Do you use a found piece of paper? How do you keep your place when you're reading?
It's always if there's a bookmark, I usually use one of my business cards. Yeah. If not, I will just fold the top of the page down. Mm-hmm. There are other times I'll use the book jacket itself. So I would prefer to use a bookmark. Sometimes I look over and I can't find anything. Yeah. So in that case, it's either folding the book jacket back or folding a page back. But I'm definitely one of those people who can, definitely lean towards a bookmark more than anything.
Okay. Do you have a favorite reading snack or drink?
No, because I'm usually reading in bed. So I don't, what I like to do is I like to read a chapter a night of a book. So if I find a book and the chapter is really long, it's kind of like, ah, I feel like I want to accomplish something before I go to bed. So I love books with short chapters. So every night I can feel like I've accomplished something before I go to sleep. So short chapters are always good for me. So, if I were eating and drinking in bed, I think my wife would probably look down upon that.
Yeah.
So my reading time, since I'm working during the day, is generally when I go to bed. And I always find that that's kind of the best sleeping aid is reading a good book before you go to bed.
So, what do you love about libraries?
Libraries to me are just places where you can go and get lost in the stories, and that's where the story of all of us kind of resides. And I think whatever you're looking for, you can find in a library. If you're looking for history, it's there. If you're looking for self-help, it's there. If you're looking for romance novels, it's all there. I mean, it's kind of a place where you can go and get lost in the subject that interests you. And you may not even know what that subject is till you get to a library and you're wandering around, and all of a sudden you come up on a fiction book or a nonfiction book, and you just say, this may be a great read for me. And then it leads you down a path, I think. Reading to me is one of the most important things that you can do, and I think it leads you to want to travel. It leads you to want to understand more about other cultures, and in my case, history. So I love libraries. I love the smell of libraries. I go in there, and it's just like the books all smell, like a library should smell. Yeah. So if they could make some kind of perfume that smelled like a library, I would, or a cologne or something, I think that'd be kind of cool. So,
I think there is something like that out there, and I think there might be like a candle too.
Probably something like leather-bound books, or something like that. It's when I walk into a World War II museum of just like Normandy, it smells like 1944. Yeah. So when I go into a library, it kind of has that same kind of smell. Like it's just the smell, like, it's like familiar. It brings you back to your youth when you're at a library in elementary school, and the librarian there is reading you books when you're really young. And then, but yeah, I love to read. My whole family loves to read, which I think is an important aspect of human nature, is to get out of your zone and realize that there are some pretty incredible stories out there that you can relate to, and might lead you down a different path in your life. You just never know. I mean, I was fortunate to go to school all my life with Jhumpa Lahiri, and Jhumpa was a classmate of mine at South Kingstown, and so we used to talk in the library and stuff, and she's done so well with her own career in writing. So to know somebody like Jhumpa, and to grow up with Jhumpa since we were 3 years old, just goes to show you. I mean, when I was in high school, Jhumpa was always in the library. So look what happened with her career. I mean, she became one of the great writers around. I just think that's wonderful.
That's great. Do you have any special memory of our libraries or any library that you'd like to share with us?
I mean, I grew up in Kingston, so I spent a lot of time in the Kingston library. We'd go up to the library there, my mom and dad, and we'd get, all of the books and everything else. So growing up in Kingston, that library was always very special to me. So yeah, I mean, it just, again, you go in there and it's a familiar place, and some of the same books they have there, they had when I was a kid there, and then my children were the same way. So having a library card, I think, is really important. Yes. And so I think I may have some overdue books from 1978, but we won't capture that on video, will we? I hope not.
Well, the good news is that the library no longer charges overdue.
Oh, good. Thank you. Because I know about $10,000, I think.
Return them with no problem.
Good.
Is there anyone you would like to nominate to also be on Follow the Reader?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to really think. I mean, most of the authors and people that we know are people I deal with are global authors, and people like that I can think of. I think you should get the president of URI on there. Mark
That would be
Prolonge
great.
would be great because he's got a great world perspective coming from Australia and being a French background, and he grew up, born in Providence. I think Thor Bjorn, the athletic director at URI, would also be somebody who would be great to have on. So I nominate those two guys, whether they like it or not.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, that is all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for being on Follow the Reader with me.
It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Great questions.
It was great to talk to you too. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You
and we'll
too.
see you next time on Follow the Reader.